I think even beyond the performance, I think she's been very honest as a person. Yeah. And that honesty is lovely in an actor.
Yeah. I think I featured in BollywoodShadis.com. Milestone.
The essence of the film is actually not pregnancy. The essence of the film is about friendship.
All of these girls came to me only asking, "Our time in engineering, how was it?"
So that subtlety and sensitivity you can see in this film, and I think it's something that is very rarely explored by filmmakers.
The wonder begins. That's how the cast and crew of Anjali Menon's new movie Wonder Women announced the movie on social media. The lead cast put out a post on their social media handles accompanied by this picture with a small home pregnancy test kit which showed positive. And it created a lot of intrigue, and now the trailer has dropped and we've all seen the trailer. It's fun, it's exciting, it's got a bunch of amazing actors. We have with us today writer-director Anjali Menon and 3 members from the cast, Parvathy Thiruvothu, Sayonara Philip and Archana Padmini. Let's have this conversation. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We've all watched the trailer, and the first thing that I want to ask all of you is, how much fun did you have?
Loads of fun we had.
So we're continuing to have fun.
Yes.
It's almost illegal to have this much fun.
Adding to that, I would also like to ask you that there's so many women in this film, and I suppose so many women coming together might be a rare thing in your workplace. So how was the energy like? What was it like for each one of you to be surrounded by so many women, talk about experiences of women, enact it?
So basically, I think for last 4-5 years, this was a thing. Like we were finding ourselves, we were having this camaraderie, sisterhood, and friendships. So it's like a on-screen expression of our off-screen life.
Very true.
Nicely said.
Very true.
So yeah.
I think very rightly, as Archana said, it's a lot of the experiences that have happened off screen which have actually empowered the narrative. Right. You know, they've empowered the friendships that we have, the kind of equations, the kind of observations we have. You know, when a group comes together, people who are strangers to each other, how they become friends, all of that.
Right.
So it's been very interesting because of what our off-screen experiences are as well.
It's interesting that you say that, Anjali, because I think very recently you were talking about your process and how you think your actors are conduits that through whom you explore your characters and you essentially ask them to run free. And it's a very collaborative process. So I want to ask and find out from the cast what Parvathy is, of course, an Anjali Menon veteran. This is your third film with Anjali, but the other members of the cast, what is it like to run free, especially you, Sayanora? This is your debut as an actor.
It's a debut, and it's not even a dream come true for me because it wasn't even in the dream actually. Seriously.
I'm not jealous at all.
Seriously, I didn't even dream about this, and it came to me unexpectedly. And the thing is, I am really blessed to be in this situation where I am acting in a debut. I'm acting in a movie, debuting with one of the most finest directors in town and the most finest actors around. And for me, I was like terrified and excited at the same time.
Right.
We all had so much fun in the set. I didn't even feel as if we were like acting or something. Mostly we were like playing around and having fun, and then okay, the shoot comes, then we have to be ready for the shot, and that shot is gone. Back to normal, back to fun times and all.
It was working only during the shot.
I know.
That's the key.
Very economical. I have to say this actually, now that you're talking about it, just suddenly dawned on me. I never felt you were acting for the first time.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, I never did. It was like, okay, some people have this talent of just letting themselves be in a space.
Right.
I did not have that. I always struggle. When I go there, I have to perform. I have to arrive.
Right.
That pressure I put on myself. But
Right.
she's just there. And then only when she asks question, or something like, camera, that's when I'm like, oh, okay. So some things that we take for granted because we know
I
it.
don't know where to act,
Look
where
at-
to look, because I'm not sure of the position of the camera, and these guys knows about it. I'm like, Saya, you have to be in this profile. അവിടെയാണ് ക്യാമറ. ഓക്കെ, അവിടെ ക്യാമറ ഉണ്ടല്ലേ.
And then she'd be like so apologetic, right? Like, I was like, Saya, you have to move a little because you're covering me. Oh no, sorry. I'm like, no.
But that was beautiful because she was so unaware.
Right.
And she was just being honest in that moment. Completely
You
unaware. It's like
remember
neglecting a
that
child.
scene? You remember that scene where I was hugging Amrutha?
Now, there were some beautiful improvisation things which came, which, she forgot for a moment that we were in a take and she was a character and all of that. And somebody was crying, and typically Saya, being Saya, reached out and hugged her right in the middle of a take.
Yeah, they were taking it, but started crying, and after a while, I'm like, no, this is not shoot because she's crying, bro. I went and then I hugged her.
And that worked beautifully for the narrative.
For
as
the
well.
narrative, yeah.
She has always been performer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's always been a thorough performer. We've seen her express and
Yeah, on stage, yeah.
I think even beyond the performer, I think she's been very honest as a person.
Yeah.
And that honesty is lovely in an actor.
Yeah.
What you feel is what you see, and that's the nice thing.
So many great things about me.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I'm loving this. I'm loving the swag.
Parvathy, I wanted to ask you that this whole announcement of this movie happened in the context of a social experiment. And I think there is still an English website out there that says Parvathy is expecting her first child, and I don't think they've removed it.
No.
The media had a field day. The internet had a field day with it.
I think I featured in BollywoodShadis.com. Milestone. No. It was like all the speculation. We know nothing about the actress's personal life. I'm like, neither. I don't know what's happening in my personal life. It was a lot of fun. It was a hoot, and because we have a group ourselves of Wonder Women, constantly sharing, guess what this guy did, guess what this person said, and I was having a lot of fun. But at the same time, I was very happily surprised that the responses, the good ones, were a mix. It was almost like, are you sure about this? There were those as well, very lovingly and attentively they'll ask that, and then there were others who are like, dude, so happy to expect a smaller you, a mini you. And I'm like, now I want one mini me. Like this is a lot of love. I can take this. I mean, yeah, that moment passed though.
See, there were more than one side to it, because at one level it was about how would people react to the news of pregnancy.
Yeah, exactly.
At the other side is that good news, typically whenever announced, is always in the shape of a baby or something. We can really transcend that.
Yeah.
Good news can come in the shape of a film. Can come in the shape of many other achievements.
So many other things. Yes. Now that you say that as well, Anjali, motherhood generally, I mean, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, especially in the context of this film. So before I get into how motherhood is put on a pedestal, I would also like to ask you, how did this idea come around? What prompted you to decide that pregnancy, or the experience of birthing a child, is going to be the theme, the running narrative of this film?
Yeah, that is
the essence of the film is actually not pregnancy. The essence of the film is about friendship.
Right.
Individual and collective friendship. That's what it's about. But when we came to telling the story, the whole idea about pregnancy is that pregnancy is one of those phases in life which is very individual to the person. That person may not have another pregnancy like that. It's that individual, right? At the same time, do all pregnant people experience the same thing? Yes. In some levels, you're going through the same journey. So very much like our individual solo life journeys, where we all have our own specific journey, but overall we're all kind of moving in some similar direction. So this seemed like a great lens to look at it through. Because one thing about empathy is that there are certain situations in life which really draw a lot of empathy from everywhere. How often we hear, there was a woman having to give birth on the road, and suddenly everybody came together and made it happen. I mean, a pregnant woman is one person who actually does garner that kind of thing from a lot of people who are witnesses to that, or have experienced it, or whatever may be. Now, I wanted a situation like that, where people, despite being, from different spaces, from different mentalities and all of that, that will draw that empathy from them. And this was, it was a great fit, the whole subject. Besides that, we really could explore many things about the experience. And this is not just an experience of biological motherhood. There is something that it is not limited. When you talk about motherhood, it does not have to be somebody who's given birth to a child.
Yeah.
There are many people who choose not to, and rightfully, that is their right, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, how you give birth, what is your choice of birthing? What is your choice of becoming a family? How do you define a family unit? Is it through marriage? Is it through, having a partner? Is it through singlehood? We don't know. Today, in this time and age, we have many, many options, and it's important to value all of them in a positive, open way. So that's one lens that we've chosen for this.
Right. Also, while dealing with, like I said, dealing with something like motherhood, there is a certain expectation that women would want to be mothers, in a very, socially set way, or that mothers are placed on a slight bit of a higher pedestal, and mothers are given more value, and all of this idea of a pregnant woman garnering a lot of empathy has also got to do with how that particular phase or that particular biological ability is valued, and it's also a gender role. There are so many complexities around it. So when you decided to bring stories of 6 pregnant women coming together at a prenatal care home, was it ever something that bothered you, that I don't want to play into the stereotype? How am I going to make this make different mothers different? How am I going to put this on screen? How is this going to play out? So did you have those apprehensions?
The minute you're trying to put honest portrayals out there, these are all things which tend to fall in place.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to say something honestly, then you're not thinking of it in a manipulative way that, okay,
Right.
I need to tick these boxes and that and this. Just trying to present 6 protagonists, in this case 7 protagonists, who have their own life journeys.
Right.
6 of them happen to be pregnant, and they're still on those life journeys.
Right.
What is it that binds them together?
Right.
What is it that makes them different?
Right.
This was the exploration.
Right.
So we have that space to interact, and we have that subject to interact about.
Right.
But within that, how is each individual reacting?
Right.
There are many things that come from each of their individual stories. Many of the stories, their partners are involved.
Yeah.
So there are attitudes, there are values, there are life experiences, and it's a very gentle film that way.
Right. Right.
In a limited period of time, we're trying to tell these stories in a simple way.
Right.
And so I see this as just an opening to that kind of content.
Right.
I think it's just early days, early steps. There's much more one can explore and really go into it.
Absolutely.
So these are just baby steps towards that kind of exploration.
Absolutely. Archana, you're one of the members of the cast, apart from Parvathy, of course, who is not a mother yet. So what was it like to take on this character of a pregnant woman? How did you have fun with the prosthetics? What was the process?
So as we were saying, we were method acting, we were having so much fun, and it was contributing to the role in that sense.
Which is why we ate so much.
Yeah, of course.
We didn't have the guilt of eating at all.
Completely to being in character, especially during the snack breaks, the lunch breaks. They were all devoted to being the character.
Such a lucky director. Such a lucky director.
No, so interestingly, when she was Archana, we would go to eat and we would pile on our plates. That's not just the production food. Our fellow actors who are also pregnant would bring snacks from their respective homes. Like Padmapriya would have bought some what is called chikli, is it? Like chikis and other things, and particular kind of coffee, decaffeinated chamomile.
That was
tea
yours?
and all those. Yes, that's mine.
The special kind of coffee.
Completely
Please give us that special kind of coffee, Parvathy.
tea and all that.
And what was that sweet we had?
What sweet?
Like in the beginning.
It wasn't like even one. I mean, there was too many.
Banana halwa.
Oh, the Kozhikode and
When
banana.
they start off on food, they will not stop.
I
I
will
assure
not
you.
stop.
Yeah, so we were very happy actors on set.
So you really had fun.
Yes.
Oh,
Lot of fun.
tell us about.
The Velcro in the prosthetics wasn't as much fun. For hours and hours to wear that, and then
Right.
you can't really quite get there to scratch and all of that.
Right.
And then we just wanted to get to the empathy part of it, right? Method again, like.
Parvathy, your character Minnie, from whatever little bit is revealed through the trailer, looks like a woman who is independent and has a lot of complexities that she's trying to probably navigate by herself, etc. Somehow I feel that it is also these are also characteristics that we associate with Parvati as viewers when we look at Parvati. Parvati is also this person who takes on a lot, speaks about things and everything. So I wanted to ask you, did you at any point feel like maybe I wanted a quirkier character, or maybe I want something else?
No,
Or or did you really feel like Minnie is for you?
Definitely felt Minnie's for me.
Right.
I mean, great that on set when I went there, I really could sink into Minnie. And eventually, for me to understand that there is a Minnie in me too.
Right.
The perceptions aside, because I may not be able to control the perceptions.
Right.
But I knew that there was a certain. It's not one particular characteristic about Minnie. It's an energy, really.
Right.
So I knew I could tap into that. And for once, if I wasn't feeling it, I could be Minnie. I could just be it. Be the private person also that Parvati is allowed to be, and be quiet. Actually, let my throat rest a bit. That's fantastic, isn't it? Like, the thing is, interesting thing about coming back to Minnie and like leaving Parvati aside is there are so many elements of choices about Minnie as a person, and any mother or any person in the film as a in their journey, what are the choices they are making in be it friendship, be it how much they're choosing to share about themselves, and where they draw each boundaries. So that's also as important in friendship, right?
Right.
So when Minnie comes in, she comes with a completely different energy.
Right.
And how others navigate and sort of fit into Minnie also as much as Minnie eventually fits into them.
Right.
It's not always like hand in glove.
Yeah.
They all meet and it's just hunky-dory, happy, everything's just
Right.
so easy. There are times that you gotta sometimes ply open a person, but sometimes like allow themselves to open up to you also. So that it was definitely there between Minnie and other characters in this.
Right.
And I found that to be so real and so reminiscent, in fact, of my life itself. Sometimes I feel like I got to perform, to be friendly, to make it easy for others, to not make it awkward. But via Minnie, I could just actually be and enjoy that as well.
How lovely. How
Yeah.
lovely. Anjali, how did you arrive at your casting decisions? Like, did you write these characters with these actors in mind, or how did it come about? Because it's such an interesting interesting mix of actors. They're all fabulous. They're all fun. We're getting to, I think, see sides of them on screen that we have not seen yet. So how did this casting decision come around?
Well, the characters were written first, and the more they grew, sort of in the screenplay, it kind of became evident where they're from.
Right.
What kind of ethnicity they're from, and what would really benefit the character in terms of how they would interact with the others. And I quietly looked around myself, and I could see, Gracie and Archana,
Right.
And Sayanora, Minnie and Parvati. These seemed like natural choices.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate that they all just said yes. So it wasn't like
Who would say yes to Anjali Menon, ma?
Yeah, man.
Excuse
the thing
me.
is, I think it was also because they connected to the characters as well.
Yeah, right.
So that's very sweet of you to say that. But I think that is the thing, that when they connected to the characters, they came in like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when they were interacting with each other, they were not Parvati interacting with Nithya.
Yeah.
They were Minnie interacting with Nora.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I think helped me in developing the script further.
Right. Sayonara, you are a mother. Were you the reference point among the cast? Did they ask you, is it like this during...
Definitely they asked me, and I'm like, I seriously don't remember what was it when I was pregnant. But I was continuously working till I was 6 months. I was doing all the stage shows and everything, and pretty surprisingly, everybody around who didn't know me much, they all thought that, oh, she's gaining weight. I was like, my tummy wasn't detectable.
Right.
And all of these girls came to me only asking, "Ah, time how was it?" and all.
No, but there was also this very interesting space Anjali took us to. But there's spaces where there are home births.
Right.
And births that you watch and see, those are like pretty intimate, isn't it? And you kind of sort of brace yourself watching that, and there is life coming out of a person, and those are all extremely sensitizing ways. It's not even to decide, does Minnie want it, or it was never it was never a like sort of twisting your arm into going there. It's about providing all kinds of resources for you to be tactile resource, be it if it's holding a doll, or like if it's reading this particular book, or if it, those are questions that Anjali would ask, which is, can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have I've had like stuffed toys when I was a kid.
Right.
I was never a big fan or anything. But Anjali asked me when she met me the first time and told me about Minnie's, like, did you ever have a doll? Like a girl doll.
Right.
I wasn't really asking even. I was just
Yeah.
talking to her about, when we have dolls.
Dolls.
Yeah, when
but
we
I've
have-
never had one.
And then it was a moment that it could be possible that a person could not have a doll. Like dressing up a doll and like combing their hair, and these are things that I've not experienced. Maybe my friend's Barbie without a head would come to me at some point, but for me it was always about how pliable this plastic is and popping it off and all of that.
Right.
It was never that gentle sort of dressing, nothing. And then much later, after finishing Wonder Woman, she gifted me my very first doll. And it was a very interesting tactile way of feeling it.
Right.
A
It was
certain
after the first
nurturing
schedule.
space. That was after the first
After the
schedule,
first
actually.
schedule.
I cannot go into details of why there was a first schedule. Yeah.
Because it showed in the next schedule. That's
Yeah,
why.
it did. Yeah, exactly. So that was, see, there can be videos you see, and there are, that very important famous book, What to Expect when you're expecting. Mind-blowing details that would always make you decide what you want. Like, do you want a child or not? Like, you get it. And then there are these kind of ways also to sort of gently nudge your actors to get to a space when they need it. It's like giving them a toolbox, and you access it when you want.
So usually, when we're coming together for a film, I try to introduce the actors and get them to interact as if we would in the film, right? To just warm them up before they arrive. In this, I did not do that because they were all supposed to be strangers.
Right.
Many of them already knew each other, so that was already a risk. But we said, let's just keep them apart until they arrive.
But we had times with our partners though.
So that built a certain familiarity. Sorry.
You have to rub it onto my face. I'm a single mother.
Yeah, being the unpartnered. Anjali, also like Parvathy and you were just mentioning, the whole process of birthing it's tender at once, it's terrifying, it's strengthening, it's so many things. And do you feel that fiction as a tool is better suited to speak about the nuances of it? Is, since your medium is fiction, do you feel that, rather than, there are so many things that people need to be sensitized about, like given tactile cues, like Parvathy said, about this whole experience before we can box it or before we can look at it from a single lens. So do you feel fiction is a better tool to like appeal to the emotions of people and show them that, hey, this is a very fragile.
It's interesting you asked that because for the longest time I've been wanting to make a documentary on the subject.
Oh,
And that's where my research was done,
right,
for that.
Right.
And then when I got an opportunity to do this,
right,
I find fiction a more convincing tool to do most things.
Right.
But that's my choice of medium.
right,
Where, in fiction, emotion is our currency. In my kind of filmmaking, it is very much through the emotion that we're convincing the audience about buying into a certain reality.
right,
And when that is there, it really drives home the message far deeper. Somewhere at a subliminal level, we're taking it in. Through humor, through emotion. These are things which are far more, an audience is far more open to accepting things than giving them a message or a lecture or a documentary. I find fiction has a different effect on people.
right,
And in the telling of this one, it was that, we want to talk about so many different things when it comes to being pregnant and when it comes to birthing and all of that. Like you said, these are experiences which are very special
right,
in the life of anyone, any gender. And they should be viewed with a lot of value and they need to be understood in a very different way
Right.
from what we're doing. Right now, as human beings, we've just moved away so much from our instinct.
Right.
We'd rather rely on a scan or some technology or yet another third person to tell us what's going on inside our body, instead of being able to rely on ourselves and our body wisdom. And all of that seems a little odd.
right,
Because as creatures that give birth, animals seem so much more empowered to do it than us. Why is that? Is it because we have a brain? Is it because we are thinking animals? I think it's time to explore all of those things. Where is our instinct? Are we not utilizing those faculties when it comes to very instinctive processes like these?
Right.
So there are 1,000 questions I'd like to ask. Maybe not all of them come out in this film, but definitely, it's opening little doors.
To conversations.
Hopefully.
Yes. We also, to all the actors, we speak a lot about the male gaze and about how all of you have been part of films which are written, made by men, speak about experiences that are not theirs alone. So there is a dissonance, etc. But could you, without giving away too much of the film, could you tell us something, some experience you had on set where you felt, this is written like this because it's a woman. Only a woman can do this. We are here enacting this scene because it's Anjali and not a man directing it or not a man writing it. Were there moments where you felt, oh, this is so relatable or this is so real because it's actually a woman telling the story of a few women?
Definitely, it's a story of birth, like friendship, and the pregnancy phase.
Right.
And definitely, a woman only can think about it. A woman only observes it,
Right.
and she observes each and every person in a different way.
Right.
In every small detail, I obviously got this thought because I think women have a different observational skill other than men.
Right.
They observe things in a different way, very intimate way. They observe very closely. Even tiny emotions, they observe it in a very different way. I've always felt that.
Right.
So I think this film, is a perfect example of that idea, like the subtlety and sensitivity through which female gaze happens. You can see that in the film, and I think I'm the luckiest in a different sense in the cast because I could also assist Anjali Menon.
Flexing.
So basically, so I know that process also,
Right.
like behind the screen, how she approaches the film. So it's like
I can drive you around.
it's not just one particular moment.
Right.
So as a viewer in the beginning, when we used to watch beginning from Anjali Kuru, you can see the reflections of that in all these films, right?
Right.
So that subtlety and sensitivity you can see in this film, and I think it's something that is very rarely explored by filmmakers, by Malayalam cinema. So I think I'm the luckiest of all.
Yeah.
I think I used to say like I'm Anjali Menon encyclopedia right now because I've seen different faces of her. We used to sit.
We have seen too.
Yeah, no. Like we
Different phases of you.
So we used to sit till 2 o'clock,
Right.
talking about the collective, half sleepy, and that is not one particular phase. And there we have done action, the practice of what we are talking about.
Right. Absolutely.
And then while working with her as AD, I've seen the process of making the artistic expression
Right.
through that gaze,
Right.
which is very political.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I have seen how she works with the actors and makes that come true on screen as an actor. So there is no question, I'm the luckiest.
Well, that was not
That
even
wasn't the question at all.
All right.
That's not even the question.
Question. But anyway, fine, you take that crown. For this interview, you can take that crown. I want to quickly just mention that Anjali just did actually nudge me towards that direction, so thank you. I definitely feel it's how sensitive the director is, for sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I have had experiences with women who are directors where the sensitivity was pretty much missing too.
Right.
For whatever reasons it is, we made it work. But then there are also male directors that I have worked with, if I had to say it like that, where I've been surprised by the nuances.
Right.
Or even more than that they accept they don't know. So they invite collaboration and let it sustain. So for sure there is that. So I wouldn't want to say one over the other.
Right.
In terms of the fact that with Anjali, something with pregnancy and I don't want to say it again, friendship, not female friendship, is done a certain way. But let's say another gender might come in and have their life experience poured into it.
Right.
As long as you're not appropriating
Right.
and limiting the experience,
Right.
I think you're sensitive and you're being respectful.
Right, absolutely. Yes.
So also I think then we have to add the crew, the kind of crew we had. It was like a well curated crew.
Right.
I don't know how that happens. So it's like the men around who were working, cinematographer, sing sound recordist, who also played my partner's role in the film. So they were all very sensitive. So it's very happy to work with them.
Right.
And it's like you're not intimidated by the presence of there is no
Right.
what to say, there is no that energy.
You're in a safe space. You can just
You're very comfortable.
be.
There's an atmosphere
That's
of
huge.
safety
That's
and
huge for an actor.
It
which
was
is very
beautiful.
important.
See, that's the thing. It's never only the director who makes the film. It's a collaborative medium, right? So everybody, whether you like it or not, brings their energy in.
Right.
And when you have an energy that's free-flowing and positive and supportive
Right.
to the actor, it shows up in the telling.
Absolutely. So, to wind up, if there was one word that each of you would use to describe the feeling you hope Wonder Woman would leave the audiences with, what would it be? From your respective perspectives of your characters, or as a viewer, or as a maker.
Joy. I would say joy. If you were to ask me to select one word.
Yes, one word.
There is so much, of course.
Yes.
But just experience the joy of this journey.
Right.
That's what I would say.
I would say connection.
Connection.
I would say magic.
What about you?
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie, joy, connection, magic, camaraderie. Such beautiful, beautiful words. We look forward to the film. See you all on November 18th on screen. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.